India. Oh my gosh. We'll give folks probably another. How long do you? All right. Yeah. We'll give till 6:05 to let a couple more folks join and then we'll pop it off. Oh. Same thing happened to you when I watched it happen. I didn't see yours, but I can grab you. Okay. Oh my God, I'm gonna give India a call. Disembodied. We can give you a mic. No.
Be like that narrator in the like children's TV show where it's like a random like booming God voice. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it could definitely be the smoldering temptress that Pepper Institute needs. uh, demand.
Girl, this is not.
I'm feeling it. Yeah. Also, don't forget to record it on OBS too.
Will you? Is it what? Oh. Are we still muted? All right, we have one more minute till 6:05. I think I see Chinilu and Khaled about to walk in, so I think this is a pretty good time to get it started. So, at least for folks who are on the call tonight, thank you for joining. This is Mumbo Jumbo Community Conversations. I'm your host tonight, Zalalam Temeskin. You can call me Z. In the room with us, we have Jay Rukudar, Chinilu Africa, Khaled Ibrahim, Tech in the back, Nas. And we got Aguila in the back as well. So snaps to all those folks here. Oh, come pop in. A little closer. Look more close. Yeah. Our topic tonight is community health, through a public health lens. And I guess really where we get it started for folks who don't know or are new to the Kepler space, we tend to do a check-in, really to get a gauge for how the people in our space feel and get an understanding of where you're at so that we can have our conversation with grace and understandings and make sure that we like take account for where everyone is. So to practice that, we do that by starting with asking what your color is. That can be anything on the spectrum of a rainbow or not, to describe how you feel, and then a number to maybe signify how you're also feeling mentally. People do a scale of 1 to 10. You could also do any number. Some people like their birthdays, you know the vibe. And then we tend to do a check-in question. So today the check-in question is, what brought you here today? And then what's a home remedy that you use when you're not feeling well? And I will go for an example and then I'll pass it to some of the folks here in person with me. And then we'll also have folks do their check in on the Zoom. And as people continue to join us online or in person, we'll also have them check in and find a natural pause. So I'll start it off. feeling like a spinach green. I'm a 7.9 today. And what brought me here today is that I am a nerd and really, really like to talk about public health and was able to find a space to do it here today with the Kepler Institute. So I'm here to nerd out with all the people who care, I think so. That's what brought me here. And a go-to home remedy for me, I usually make some throat coat tea. I like garlic and ginger to help when I'm not feeling well, and then I definitely drink a bunch of orange juice or take some vitamin C. That's kind of what I do when I'm not feeling well at home. And I'll pass it to Chanilu.
What's up, everybody? I'm feeling like a street sign green. Feeling like a seven today. What brought me here today? Well, I usually host Mumbo Jumbo, so I would have been here regardless. But definitely had to come out to support my partner. And also to just like have a really important and I think insightful, introspective conversation just about like the what another dimension of what it takes to keep our community safe and sustainable and healthy. Yeah. In terms of home remedies, I'll give two. First is just a clove of garlic. You just pop it in your mouth and you just leave it there. Um, yeah, and that'll do it. If you need something a little bit more aggressive, my parents they used to make us this tonic. It's like garlic, ginger. You slice up an onion. You get some lemon and some honey, some cayenne pepper, some chili flakes, maybe a little peppermint. And you just like boil that together, some cinnamon sometimes, and then you kind of just boil all that together in this tonic, and like all that spice and like all those like other like antiviral, antibacterials and the garlic and the ginger and stuff will just flush you out really effectively. So I'll pass it to J. Rue.
Hello, everybody. Jeru here. I'm feeling like a red and black 10 today. What brings me here to support Z and our top facilitator here at the Kepler Institute, ready to be here and take notes more than anything else. Uh, and a home remedy that I can think of. I'm a big proponent of like drinking a crap ton of orange juice. Um, Hoping for the best. I down like flu medicine as much as I can, as often as the directions will allow. Um, and of course, a staple, some good old fashioned ginger ale too. This is a top tier home remedy. I'll pass it to Khaled.
Khalid, I'm just five, purple, and what was the questions? Um, I'm here because I'm with the Kepler Institute, and and my go-to, hmm, uh, usually I like to take oranges. I don't drink orange juice a lot. Um, but I'll eat pecans as well. I don't know, like they're just dry, so like I just eat them. But that's really it. Um, I can't see from that far. Can you read the names? I'll do Russell. Uh,
Okay, Russell,
mhm.
check it. The check-in is the home remedy that you use when you're not feeling well.
I am a 7.5 copper. Home I usually go to is usually some sort of a turmeric-based drink. Those some things really help settle my stomach because a lot of my issues are usually stomach related. So, some turmeric shot or turmeric-based tea or drink and ginger. I'll pass it out.
I am feeling like eight rose and a home remedy. I mean, lately, last time I got sick, drinking these what are the packets that have electrolytes in them for water is really helpful. Particularly, I had like that stomach bug. And I'll pass it to him.
Color is blue green, numbers 11, and mind over matter is my number one go to, and if I need something a little more material in nature, I call on Miss Fair, who has a cure for everything. Pass it to Booyah! Essence.
He pointed at Essence.
Hey guys, I am a 7.6. Color is mocha, and I like to mix. Am I yelling? Sorry.
No, yeah.
I like to mix garlic, turmeric, cayenne pepper, ginger, and honey together, and take a spoonful of that for like 2 days. You'll be cured, I promise. I'll pass it to India.
Oh, hey. I did not know my mic was on.
Surprise, Shotty. Hi, India.
Hi, Z. I wish I could have made it in person, but it was like cutting too close to the time. So I decided to hop on the Zoom instead.
You are okay. That's why the Zoom option exists. Thanks for
Yes.
joining.
So clutch. Um, a home remedy lately, I've been running to nettle tea. I feel like that's a good, I feel like it's just good for everything almost. And then I think I'm feeling like a deep orange, and I would say that I'm probably feeling like a 6.5 today.
Thank you, India. And before I start running both our history and business online, I would love to ask folks who are new to Mumbo Jumbo to share what brought you here today. And then you could pass it to anyone else you see on the Zoom to go check in next.
Okay, yeah. So, I feel like this year in general, I've realized the importance of community. And as of recently, I've also realized the importance of like in-person connection, even though I wasn't able to be there in person. But just like the importance of making connections in person versus like on the internet, I feel like is really important. And just like community in general.
So real. Thank you. Do you want to pass it? I think we got Cass, Maxine, Tara, who haven't gone online.
Okay, I'll pass it to Cass.
Hey, everybody. My name is Cass. Feeling about yellow 5. Um, having some stomach issues today. So one of my go-tos for that is a good smoothie. I like ginger with some ginger in it. Um, let's see. What brought me here today is I actually like studying public health. I studied, I took a course in college, public health course in college, and um, I don't know, it was really interesting to me. It was right around COVID, and we were talking about different outbreaks and stuff. And then when COVID came out, we started just talking primarily about COVID and stuff like, and things related to COVID, like I think was the Black Plague and all that. And I've always had an interest in it. So I also would like to know more about, public health so that I could, just been to know and help my community and stuff like that. And I will pass it to Maxine.
Hi. Um, I
Bestie.
I would say I am feeling probably like a strong 6 today. Color wise, probably the same as India. I'm feeling like a burnt orange right now. Um, Home remedies, anything that has like turmeric or ginger in it is typically a go-to for me. I do also like herbal and like tea blends as well. I'll typically like mix like elderberry, echinacea or like mullein together, olive leaf. Um, I'm blanking on the other ones, but yeah, if I can like make like a herbal tea blend, and mix it with like honey and lemon, that's typically a go-to for me. I decided to come today because I've really been intrigued with learning a lot more about public health, especially since the pandemic started. Probably within the last year and a half or so, I've become a lot more interested in like learning about public health. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and to support the homie. And then I will pass it to Tara.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hi. I'm feeling like a yellow 10, manifesting that P fair energy. And home remedies. So I start off the day making my own little immunity shot with orange juice, lemon juice, honey, garlic, cayenne pepper. I think that's it. Shout out Khalil for that remedy recipe. Midday, take a zinc tablet after eating a meal, and then ending the day drinking some tea. Which one of those teas are typically this little blend that Zalalem actually made me like months ago. So, um, yeah. And I'll pass it. I think everyone on Zoom went, so I'll pass it to the folks at CWB.
Thank you. Naz, do you want to check in? And then Agila, bring that booty over here and come check in.
Hey y'all, Nas here, feeling like my usual 9.5 purple. And home remedy for me, I say getting out back and putting my feet in the grass and some dirt, letting the sun hit me, and watering some fruit is definitely best as well. Mhm. Listen now. And I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna pass it off to Agila. Thank y'all.
Hi all. Agila, feeling like a soil black 8 and have a lot of remedies, but I think one of the really common ones growing up was using Ajuan tea for like upset stomach. It's like a seed. It's a really popular like Indian, South Asian remedy, especially if we eat like really fried foods and stuff. I think, yeah, I guess they do have those in the Indian restaurants. Usually we make a tea at home with it. That's how I've always had it. But yeah, it helps settle the stomach usually. And of course, coconut water for dehydration. Yes. Oh, okay.
Thank you everybody for checking in. Glad to hear and see all the folks. Appreciate y'all for joining today. And really just to reiterate, like this space we're trying to have here is to talk a little bit more about what we can do, like practices of self-determination and agency that help build healthy communities. It's really awesome to be in a space stewarded by Kepra that does so. As you can see, most of us here, all of us here, not even most of us, are wearing masks. So just being able to make space and talk about some of the practices and cultural things that we do, along with stepping into the new in the future, like what we can envision to be healthy and support ourselves and our community. So I'm really hoping to just provide guiding questions and make space for y'all to be able to share your experiences and thoughts. So we can, bounce ideas off of each other and hopefully take away what works for us and use it in our daily lives. And that's really all I need to say to kick it off. But maybe one of the questions I'll just start by posing for the group to talk about is, like what is a healthy community? What does it mean to you? And how does it align with or differ from the dominant norms or things that you see portrayed in public health or in media? So that's a pretty solid one. And call it, I hope you were listening because I'm gonna start with you to answer. Crazy, huh? You weren't listening? You did? Oh, okay, 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 okay. I'll repeat the question. I'll repeat the question. What does a healthy community mean to you? Yeah, you can just start there. I'll pass it to you to kick us off, and then you can pick someone to share, or someone might take.
A healthy community to me is somewhere where you can share your ideas and your thoughts and not feel scared or unbothered about it. Um, Preferably like at my school. It's a safe community there for me because I have friends there. My teachers are nice. I've been there my whole life. Um, hmm, what else? Mm, that's what it is to me at least. I don't know anything else to add to it.
Yeah, I guess I can throw my 2 cents in there. Think of a lot of things when I think of a healthy community. And like the first thing that came to mind when you said that was like some like solar punk, like everybody's like chilling and there's like green technology everywhere. And there's like windmills and people are eating fruit off the trees and all that good stuff. But the one that like rang most heavily in my mind right now is definitely like the food piece and water and just like the things we put into our bodies, right? I read recently that Indiana, like per mile of like river stream actually has the highest like concentration of pollution in our waterways in the entire country. So yeah, Indiana number one. But like that and stuff like sugar content and being in like a lot of things and like high fructose corn syrup and all those fun things. We're basically like 90% corn at this point, which being in Indiana is just even more terrifying. But yeah, just like really thinking about like food and where we get our food. Um, and been very thankful for places like Growing Good in the Hood for like kind of being where I was able to learn how to grow my own food and just like how that made me feel very powerful. It's like, okay, I could do this. It's not that hard. Um, so yeah, food and food justice is what comes to mind first when I think of a healthy community.
Yeah. As folks have been answering, I think I've just kind of been thinking about like really just focusing in on that piece about like, well, what does it mean to be healthy? Because I know that healthy is different for different people. Like people kind of have like different baselines for wellness and like different needs in terms of like, the resources they need to be able to access to, live their lives to, whatever like seems reasonable for them. So I think for me, I'm gonna like give a broad answer and just say like a healthy community is a community where everybody has an opportunity to have their needs met, you know? Um yeah. Yeah, whether that be, you know, I need this help to get around, or I need this type of food to stay healthy, or I need this to avoid this. And there's room for everybody to have those things taken care of for themselves. Yeah, and I'm gonna pass it to India.
Okay, so the question was, what does a healthy community look like to me? Okay, okay.
Yep.
Um, I really like everyone's answers so far, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else. Definitely, I think sustainability is important in a healthy community. And I really like also what you were saying about like food being really important and like being able to like provide your own food and like grow your own food is really important. But other than that, I think that's something that I'm still learning for the most part. And I think I'll pass it to Essence.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Um,
Yes, thank you.
I was going, no, you're good. I was going to second Chin. He actually said it right as I was thinking it. I think a healthy community is one in which um, we have access to everything that impacts our basic needs health-wise. But that includes like food, deserts, and etc. Because what we consume goes into our health. So like all of those things. And I'll pass to Alvin.
Okay, thanks, Evan. I would say the primary thing that came to my mind was about agency. So regardless of the circumstances and situation, just the idea of having the ability to have an impact and do something to provide for ourselves and our community. Any y'all want to chime in?
Sure, who's that? You got two, you got Russell and you got him.
Russell first. No answer. Okay, Russell doesn't have an answer. And
Healthy community, I think of a community where people care about each other, love each other, forgive each other, and share resources with each other. Pass it back inside. I pass it to Cassandra.
Yeah, Cass, go ahead.
Uh, let's see. Um, yeah, I'm really liking y'all's answers so far. Definitely feeling I'll say clean water, clean food, community that is sustainable, a happy community. Camden is a healthy community. Um, yeah, I think, oh, an educated community as well. I think education is very important as well too. Um, let's see. Actually, who hasn't went yet? Wait, is it Maxine? Has she gone yet?
Maxine hasn't, but I do see Tara's hands up. So if Maxine, you want to
Okay.
share and then pass to Tara or vice versa, you can go ahead and pick Cass.
I could, yeah, Tara, and if she does want to go, the next scene.
Am I going? Is that what I heard? Okay.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
oh, thank you. Yeah, so man, what a great question and something to definitely reflect on more. But to put it into words, I would say a healthy community is one that operates in harmony as the earth does. I mean, we are from the earth, like we are of the earth and stuff like that. But it's like I feel like in the dominant health conversations, like among other things in our human systems, it's as if like we're not of Earth and stuff. So I think of it like health as in like that balance, that give and take, and then also like utilizing multiple various sources of remedies all at once and stuff. And then when I also think of health, I think of like physical health, spiritual health, mental health, and then like health of like each other and our relationships and our communities and how they all balance out.
Tara, Maxine, or any others on Zoom want to share?
Yeah, I can go ahead and share. The first thing that came to mind for me was accessibility, um, for community. Um, Specifically, I initially thought of like bartering and like not attaching like monetary value to providing a service to somebody. Um, and then as well, I also thought of like innovation, just with having a collective group of people and the ways in which, a community approaches challenges and hardships, and just being able to think or at least like plan out creative ways of trying to navigate those challenges. Um, yeah.
Thank you, Maxine. I'm gonna wait a beat in case anyone else in person or in Zoom wants to add on for our segue.
Uh, yeah, just one thing that like also came to mind as a couple others were speaking too. I don't remember what conversation it was, but it was this I want to say Egyptian idea of being in right relationship. And I feel like that's like ultimately what a healthy community looks like to me. 'Cause I feel like that is the most adaptive way to look at it, right? Like, how can we be in right relationship with um, all aspects of the world that we inhabit at the moment? I don't remember. I genuinely don't. But just that phrase of being in right relationship has always stood out to me. Because one, I think is something that you can define for yourself, which I always appreciate. What is right relationship, and my right relationship might look a little bit different than others. But again, I think it also allows us to adapt to any place that we find ourselves, across the world, across the universe, right? Like to be in right relationship, finding that balance of, nature, food, health, what do we have access to, and then the give and take that comes from what we have access to. So yeah, that's one thing that came to mind for sure.
Thank you, Jayru. And truly, throughout this, if like you guys continue to have more thoughts on this question or your idea of health continues to change, feel free to jump in and share more about what you're thinking, because this is just like something that will continue to develop and be shaped for us in this conversation, but you as your life and self change. And I just want to take a second just read out some of the thoughts that y'all shared. So like what I have wrote out for you, what you guys shared is like what a healthy community is and looks like to you is that it's safety, an opportunity to have your needs met, food justice, sustainability, agency and ability to impact, care, love, forgiveness, and sharing. Happy communities are healthy communities, education, operating in harmony with the earth, accessibility for community, bartering, and no monetary limitations, right relationships, and innovation and creativity. So I kind of want to like lead with that when I ask y'all this next question, which is how can individuals and communities exercise agency to improve their health and well-being, with the thought in mind that, this is how you guys see health, or at least what healthiness looks like. Okay, Chanilu is ready.
Did you answer the last question? Yeah. I would like to hear your answer.
I guess I can answer the last question as well. Okay, what is a healthy community to me? Uh, I think y'all all spoke to it really well. To me, it feels safe, it feels secure, it feels full. I think I attribute healthiness with like and non-material feelings of like what fulfillment and safety look like, but also like sanitation, good relationships with the environment, cultural understanding of different types of medicine. So being able to practice like the home remedies we talked about, and then also being able to get scientific or medical Western, non-Western care, and having the ability to choose what you want to do with your life and health, and then making sure others are taken care of as well, and not just yourself. So that's kind of what it means to be healthy: is the right relationships with others, and then also being able to take care of yourself and balance it all too. But y'all said it best. I'm good. I think Donna, bestie, would you like to check in, please? Check in today's color, number, what brings you here today, and what's your go-to home remedy? Donna, can you hear us? Or maybe did she leave? I thought I saw her also join, but I could be wrong. Is okay, maybe hopped off. All right. Well, when Donna comes back, we'll have Donna check in. But yeah, thank you for having me backtrack, Janilu. So yeah, how do we as people in our communities exercise agency to improve their health and well-being? I kind of gave one example, so maybe I'll talk about that with COVID-19 and the pandemic. But I wasn't here when it started, and the culture was built at Kepra, but I was able to join and continue to support the effort. But this institution and grassroots community was able to come together during the pandemic, and institute practices, or now cultural practices, of mask wearing and community and shared spaces with each other, so that we can prevent the spread of respiratory illnesses such as COVID-19, flu. Wow, what else? I'll go down the list later, but Aguila's yelling RSV in the back. Yeah, all of that. Influenza A, B, the types. Measles, non-respiratory illnesses. So we're not going to talk about the norovirus stint. You can talk about it, Shanilu, but just being able to come together and look at the fact that we have an intergenerational community with both young, middle-aged, old, really young people, and from 2020 until now, we will continue to wear masks and take preventative measures that we see fit to protect the specific age groups, and people in our communities directly that are impacted by COVID and respiratory illness. So that's one of the ways I see communities doing it. But how are you doing it in your life or other communities? Donna, can you hear me, broski? Yeah. Okay. You want to check in? You can drop it in the chat. Color, number, uh, and go to home remedy, and I'll read it out if you don't want to unmute. Okay. I'll let you type. Okay. Emerald Green 8. Go to home remedy is tea. Yeah, we got a lot of tea drinkers in the chat today. Thanks, Donna. And we're just at the point in our conversation where I'm inquiring with you and everyone else to answer, how do individuals and communities exercise agency to improve their health and well-being? So the floor is open. I'll start it off with the folks on Zoom, and then we'll work back to the room. Tara, you unmuted. Go.
I did. The first thing that popped up in my head is just like when navigating the medical system, I ask lots of questions, um, talk to people in community and stuff that have experience in like the medical field and like know some like home remedies and stuff like that. But basically just like get further inquiry outside of what is being told to you. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah.
You, Tara. I definitely hearing you on the inquiry or like research, development, or even education piece. Maybe I'll share like a small story on my end that makes me think of that. So for me, like an individual, and this is still a community way of practicing agency, is that I've been responsible for helping my mother and father transition through the healthcare system. So for me at a young age, I've been either translating or like having direct contact and learning how to engage in these systems. So like what I have to research or what language I need to know and how you're supposed to talk to doctors and set up appointments is something that was not privy to me, but something I learned and then I continue to share with my family, with my cousins, with my relatives, the people I go to church with, and hope to continue to share. So for me, that's the part of the agency, or I really hope other folks can speak to the relationship aspect of it as well too. And I'm gonna just pause here and let others in Zoom or in person share too.
Well, I think the piece you spoke, just to speak to the piece that you mentioned about relationships, I think a big part of it just comes down to like, a lot of people talk about you have to take responsibility for your own health. You have to make sure that you're eating right. You can make sure you're exercising, sleeping right. But, I think that there's like something to be said for taking responsibility for other people's health as well. And that's not in the way of like, you go around smacking everybody's fast food out of their hands necessarily. That's some people's style. But I think more about just like, um, you know, I think I'm talking more about like understanding what the people in your community say they need, so like for your example, your parents, uh 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 if they let you know, hey, I feel like I'm working too much, I can't keep doing what I'm doing at this level, then you can take on the responsibility of being like, okay, what can we do to work together to find you a work opportunity that's a little bit more suitable to your situation, or find, making some adjustments that can, make your current situation a little bit more bearable, and this idea that like, you can help people, not telling them what to do, but supporting them in their own health journeys. Um, I think another part of it is also just like awareness. Um, and partially about like, awareness about like, what illnesses, like, here's how you identify this particular sickness, like, here's what's going around right now that we should all be aware of. But I think also awareness of the fact that just like, we can do things about that, like we can do things to prevent ourselves from getting sick, to prevent others from getting sick. I'm going to talk about the norovirus incident that we had. I think it was like earlier this year, but and this was something that was kind of just going on around the city, but a lot of people were getting sick with norovirus, and eventually it came to Kepra. And we had one week when it was just like 3, 4 days in a row, like one person got it and two people got it and two more people got it, and like half of our like core team just got taken out with this nasty, nasty bug, And I think that, some organizations would be like, okay, well, person who's sick, don't come in, everybody else, business as usual, um, or, everybody, the whole team gets sick and we all just sort of try to do our best to keep getting the work done until people start to get better. But, I don't think that's how we handled it. We did it, we first, like, we were like, okay, do folks need care packages? What do people need to, like, recover and get better? Then we took a look at, okay, is there anything that we need to do? Okay, so a few people got sick who were sick, were in the building yesterday. What do we need to do to make sure that other folks can use the building without also potentially catching it? So, so we had to do some disinfecting. And we also, some of us who didn't know at the time learned during that time that we have ionizing filters in the building that, help with that, but we still were like, okay, well, just in case, let's also do some like disinfecting of the surfaces. So, just like a lot of the I think it goes back to the piece that Alvin was talking about, just this idea of like embracing agency, embracing this idea that you can, to some extent, you can do your own, you can do perform sanitation, in your community. You can do prevention and education in your community and treatment in your community, you know. And obviously there are some things better left to the professionals. If you're not a surgeon, don't try no surgery on nobody, and don't prescribe no medicines that you don't know what they do, but I definitely think there is a some of it we there are some parts that we can take responsibility for. And we'll be better off when we do. So
Hey guys, could y'all talk about mental health as part of this being healthy?
Oh yeah. I think that's a good segue to maybe ask the group, maybe instead of asking the question the way I did, which is how individuals and communities exercise agency to improve their mental health or their health and well-being, but maybe what are some ways that your health and well-being have been supported or improved by your community or individuals in your lives? And I think mental health is a great facet of like the improvements I've experienced in terms of being in community at Kepra. So I can share, but also like want to make space for others as well to talk about just the ways their communities, people in their lives or themselves have actively worked towards improving their health. But I'll, yeah, I'll start it off really brief. In terms of mental health, I think ways my community or like the one I'm in right now that I'm practicing and able to experience, like have been able to positively impact my health have really been through just cultural engagements and inquiry. Um, so I guess even to start it off, like I'm Ethiopian American. I was raised in an Ethiopian Orthodox household. My culture is primarily one coming from the diaspora. And I primarily have an immigrant experience in this country. So becoming or like being an American was like a new thing to me. And then also like unpacking the levels of like African American and Black culture, and now like the history of being a part of Kepra as well are like the different layers I present or have that exist within me that help identify where my mind is at. So that's my background. But for me, I have firstborn daughter syndrome essentially, which is Gil is laughing in the back, but this shit is not funny. This is not funny. So I'm an overachiever. I'm and a wannabe straight A student, and I have to get it all done, or I feel like I do. And that takes a really serious toll on my mental health. So before I even came to Kepra, I had been experiencing burnout, and just anxiety attacks, like viciously throughout my third, almost fourth year of college, while working whatever jobs I needed to put myself through college. But I eventually like reached my breaking point and was probably at the worst mental health I had been in 2020, 2021, which y'all know what we were going through back then, but still are going through technically. But I was able to come to Kepra and be able to find a group of people who were able to say, like, what are your gifts, skills, and talents? What can you help contribute and give back to this community? And then how would you like to steward and also take part in like developing this space too as a young leader? So for me, being able to find people who cared, like straight up cared about me, people who were willing to inquire about my family's well-being, not just my own, people who were there to make sure I ate. We have a weekly dinner rotation that we do at Kepra that I'm now only recently participating in to make dinner for the collective. But like my needs were slowly being met, and I myself was learning to become a person that could care and listen and inquire, and then practice, or reciprocate some of the things that I was being shown and provided as well. So for me, it was not just the healing of like my psyche and like the trauma of being in institutions from womb to where I was, but then also the pressure of being a woman and internalizing a lot of the things that I engaged with others at my age. We're just, I was just seen as myself and able to make mistakes and be okay. And then even if I did crash out or have a problem, they were cool with that. They would check me. They would be like, "Get out your head out your ass, keep it pushing," because the world's not gonna end if you make a mistake. So I think I was able to learn and crash and fail, and grow. And I don't think most people have places outside of their homes or even inside their homes where they can feel safe enough to do that, or even grow mentally, and in their health in that facet. So for me, that was an invaluable, it continues to be an invaluable experience. Okay, I'm done rambling. Someone on the Zoom take it from me, please. Please, I beg. Oh, if
Um,
not, Aguila. Cass, go ahead, and I'm gonna pass it to Aguila.
okay. Um, excuse me. So the little community that I do have here, it's mostly me and I call my adoptive brother. We just adopt each other and make each other a family. And what we pretty much do is just, just check in with each other. If we notice that we haven't, because we live together, if we notice we haven't left each other, if we notice that one of us haven't left the room in a while, we kind of just check in. Um, we make space for each other. Um, make sure each other is, had something to eat today. We check in mentally. We kind of discuss, our problems that we're facing. Um, so it's very much kind of like, the Kepler community, in a way. I feel like to have community, you have to, check in with each other, have to make sure making sure each other are good, and making sure that you guys are, well taken care of. I think that's very powerful, especially when you might not necessarily have that, community in your, uh, where you live, or especially like where you live, or in your family. So just, finding outside people who hold space and know community, and practice community, I should say, is very powerful. And do I pass it, or is it going to Aguila?
Hello. So yeah, similar to Zalalem, I laughed when she said oldest daughter syndrome of immigrant parents. Very much similar vibes. But yeah, I think also part of it, both in the physical and like, mental caring, is the importance of like the interdependence, right? And being in the community, and, being one of like, growing up in like my family and community, very interdependent. Um, and the practice of like checking in on each other and realizing like other people, like where other people are at, also impacts us as humans, and we're deeply social beings. So looking through and approaching the world through a lens of like, my own well-being is tied to the well-being of others in my community. And vice versa as well. If I'm not okay, other people in my community are also not okay. Uh, the other piece too that I think has been helpful in this conversation about mental health in our spaces is like about agency and accountability, as well. I think, to be honest, like we live in a deeply sick society, and from multiple reasons. We don't gotta go into, that's a different mumbo jumbo. But what that means is for folks, especially like people of color, um, queer people, everybody who's impacted by these systems, like our mental health takes a toll, and it then also manifests physically as well, and they're both tied together. So how do we then, as we're building these healthy communities, create ways and pathways for us to be okay? And often outside of systems that were created to like quote unquote help us. Um, and but still, in our experiences and in the histories of the United States, were also a tool against us, like, mental health institutions, etc. So, how do we build those systems and interrogate them as well, and like learn and study together about how we can help each other?
Yes, I'm going next. I saw Chin had his hand up. Put it down because I'm going next. Okay. Um, I just like because this because like but the point I had was great. It was a great segue. Thank you, Aguila, for your poignant words as always. But like that piece around interdependence and just like the conversation in general, those like ideas of reciprocity and stuff like that. I think one thing that's really underestimated, or understated when it comes to mental health is the burdens that we carry around all day and the power of having other people to carry certain burdens alongside you. So like even really simple stuff. Um, like at Kepper, we have a dinner rotation. So somebody takes a night of cooking dinner every evening, right? And even something simple like that has gone such a long way in providing some just peace of mind day to day. Like I'm not really worried about, oh man, I'm gonna have to dedicate time to cook and clean and all that. Because 6 days out the week, that's taken care of, and I'm gonna take one, and I'm gonna make a damn fine dinner. Come through for some ribs, but you guys gotta pay, unfortunately. Those ribs are expensive, man. Uh, but yeah, just like even just little stuff like that, and multiple people carrying the load that is the life that we lead as human beings on the planet Earth, um, goes such a long way for mental health. I don't remember exactly where it was from, but a woman on Alchemy Plus was talking about the impacts of not having access to things like food and shelter, just like the basic needs that people have, right? And how people can't begin to even imagine what comes next. They can't imagine things going differently because, they don't have their basic needs met. And that clogs up so much of the glucose that it takes to live is just trying to get your needs met all the time. So when you start to fulfill those and, allow others to step in and help fulfill those needs, it just frees up so much more bandwidth to do the things that make you happy on this earth, like be creative, um, like go see things that you've never seen before, and just be able to dream and be alive. You know what I mean? So I really can't understate the impact of even just like little things like that. So
Yeah, I was just gonna add accident. Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. Jay Rue spoke to it really well. The mental health benefits of living in a community. But one piece that I wanted to add is and Aguila kind of spoke to this with this idea of like, we live in a society that's really sick in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is I think it's just really antisocial. I think a lot of the places you go, especially right now, yeah, a lot of the places you go, people don't care about strangers. They barely care about their friends. Like I've seen like internet discourse where people are talking about actually you shouldn't have be expected to pick your friends up from the airport. And so I think it's like it's very draining to move through a society where like most of the people that you're interacting with barely see you as a human being, barely see you as another soul, worth any amount of like care or consideration. And so I think that like living in a community, being around people most of my day, every day, that like give a damn about like who I am and what I want and how I'm doing, even though those aren't always the most important things, but they're still a factor, like that does a lot. And I still have days like or multiple days, weeks, long stretches where I'm feeling, deeply frustrated or stagnant, or it's hard getting out of bed. And just like knowing that I'm getting up and doing what I'm doing for people that love me, and who I love as well. And not just for people who, I'm basically only valuable for them if I'm, making them some money, that does a lot as well. So I wanted to speak to that.
Passing the mic to those on the Zoom. Does anyone want to share, add to it? Okay, I waited to pause. No, I'm not gonna pick somebody. This was such a natural transition. It's really crazy to hear, and just we're going through some of these, I'm making notes too. So like some of the things I've heard just as we've been talking have been like listening to the needs of community, inquiry, research and education, mental health, checking in and the well-being of one, being connected to others. If I'm not okay, then that others aren't okay. Um, Pathways to being okay, building and integrating those. Um, and then interdependence, reciprocity, um, and the power to carry burdens with others to share those responsibilities. And the antisocial world we live in now are just some of those themes. Kind of brings me to talk about relationships and then maybe just I don't know if social engagement, but community engagement. And really just got me thinking about, relationships are a facet of public health. And the ones we have, the strength of them, the interconnectedness that's been spoken of. So I guess, we call strong and weak ties to things. So maybe I want to hear from folks, have your relationships served your health? Have they taken care of you? Are you able to take care of others through your relationships? Or how do you see them playing a role in your wellness, or your community's well-being? And maybe I'll pass it over to Alvin, M, and Rasul, the three blind mice.
What was the question again?
How do relationships play a role in your current health and wellness? And maybe you could even speak to your transition, Rasul, and journey.
Yeah, for no, to keep it short, earlier last year, I had a severe medical emergency that required immediate surgery that saved my ability to walk. So, over half a year of physical therapy and recovery to today, and still beyond, still in physical recovery. And what made that journey bearable in the slightest was the very loving community I had that came and visit me and supported me in my recovery every step of the way. Still is every step of the way. Always had rides, always had meals, always had assistance. Even outside of the medical system, I was really taking care of my family, friends, and in my community. And community is and relationships are really critical in your long-term recovery, even if you have the medical assistance needed. It's really that human connection you have that really determines your longevity through those difficulties. So
Yeah, I just ditto what Sully said. Relationships, authentic relationships, really about love. It's also about communicating authentically, even when it's don't feel good to share with people things that they may not want to hear, but and the recipient can hear it, even if it's difficult, but still maintain relationship with each other. One of the tools we use in our space is conflict transformation. So when we got beef with each other, we try to get right at it so it don't build up and have long-term negative impacts on our communications. We bring a third party in if we need to kind of help rectify any of those differences. So authentic relationships are critical.
thank you. You guys got that?
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, anyone else on the Zoom want to share? I'm not gonna call. Well, I will keep calling people out, but I don't. I shouldn't need to, y'all. It's okay. Oh, did Mimi just hop in? I'm pretty sure I just saw Mimi hop in. Oh my God, Mimi, would you like to check in? Color number, go to home remedy.
Ooh, okay.
You sound a little far away. I'm sorry.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, it's so disconnected.
Okay, never mind. I can't hear you anymore. I'm so sorry. I had you and I lost you. Is
Hold
your
on.
Bluetooth on?
Yes.
Yeah, try again.
Okay, hi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Huzzah. Okay, what's up, y'all? I'm feeling good. Like a carrot orange color, 8.8. And ginger cures everything. Also, Cold Calm is a homeopathic medicine you can buy at like Kroger or Walgreens or anywhere, and I swear by it. Back to you.
Thank you, Mimi. We were just Em and Rasul had just had the opportunity to share about how relationships and community either positively impact their individual or community health. And they were able to share a bit about authentic relationships, conflict transformation, and human connection, being facets of maintaining a healthy community and just how it's impacted them. I don't know if any others want to share the relationship piece, how it's impacted you, any of your experiences as well on the Zoom.
I
I
guess I
could
could.
add. Oh,
Oh,
no,
go ahead. Go ahead. You're first.
no, go ahead, please.
You sure? Look. All right. All right.
We'll
I
start with
can't
you,
help.
Cass, and then we'll pass it to Essence. Y'all are so cute.
I swear, because I'm just like, no, no, I think I heard you first. Okay. I like to step on people's toes. Let me see. So I would speak to that definitely because I'm a person that can be very independent, and I feel like I can just move the world uh, by just carrying it by on my shoulders and not sharing and things like that. But I'm also very giving, and I'm very I'm very hopeful to people. But for some reason, it's like I'm the type of person that like it's hard for me to like be like, hey, I need some help. So it's powerful for me to have people in my community that recognize that you do need help. Just take this help, accept the help because you need it and you're not going to ask for it. I know you're not going to ask for it. And that's literally what one of my best friends says. Like, I know you're not going to ask for it, but I'm just going to give you the help because you're not going to ask for it. And pushes me, and it also pushes me to ask for help. And I don't know what that exactly what to call that, but I feel like um, it's very powerful to have a community that knows your needs and knows you and is willing to step in because um, they see your worth and that you're worthy to be helped or saved.
I was really just going to literally say just that. All of my Kepler people got to meet my best friend last week, and she's definitely that person for me. And I'm like the biggest empath, but I'm nowhere near vulnerable. So I think for me, even just I'm in Indianapolis this week, and so I've been having a rough time on my own. And so just like being separate from all of the mess back home and being with the Kepra family has been like lifting my spirits. So it just kind of attests to community, like I haven't even talked about anything about back home, but it's just simply just being in the same area. So yeah.
Thank you, Essence. Thank you, Cass, for really touching on that, like not necessarily being able to ask for help, but having a community that has enough knowledge of you, a relationship to you, to be there for you through it, and help walk you to it as well if you need to as well. In essence, we love having you here, and it's so rejuvenating for us to have you in our space always, even if you are going through it or not. So we love you so much. Thank you always for holding it down for us so we can hold it down for you. Big heart. Oh, and I'll pass the chin.
I definitely think there's also an aspect of it where it's just like, being able to lean on other people's knowledge. Um, I was having some troubles with my vision last year, and I was able to start the process of like figuring out what was going on and getting them treated because, one of our friends and a community member at the time was like, "Hey, this is where I go to get my eye treated. They're very thorough and they're very cheap, and they were right." So yeah, I think that's a very real and practical aspect of it, just like having other people's expertise to lean on to help make some of these inaccessible systems a little bit more navigable.
Naz, please come share your experience and wisdom with us, friend.
I think what I wanted to share today was that when it comes to relationships and mental health, I think COVID, I was a teenager during the time, and yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. It was interesting. So a lot. Well, so that time by myself, it makes you start to think about you. Where do I need to go? How do I get myself where I need to go? What are my problems? And something that I think humbled me or gave me some comfort was growing up, meeting individuals, and honestly being in this space here at Kepra, where people have been doing this work for X amount of time and seeing that our problems aren't that dissimilar, no matter who you walk up to. There is much more overlap than there is um, not overlap. And I just wanted to speak to that today, 'cause that's what relationships really showed me on my mental health journey. You're not really alone, never alone. Mhm.
Wow. Beautiful and touching. Thank you so much. Before I transition topics, Khalid, do you want to share anything on how your relationships impact your health? I know you got friends. I sure hope you got friends. Shout out people in your life or your experiences that show you that your relationships keep you healthy or make you healthy. Do you want to wait? You don't have to answer this one.
Oh, my sweet child.
He said, "Well, I don't have any mental issues," and we just had to laugh. So I'm going to pass the mic back.
I mean, oh, well, I mean, like, does it count if I say, like, I miss my sibling and sometimes that actually affects me? Okay. Like, sometimes I look at pictures of my siblings, see, every time I say when I was younger, people always laugh. And it's like, because I am young. But when I say younger, I just mean like 4 or 5 years ago. Um, when I was younger with my siblings, I look at pictures of us all together, and then like I look around, and it's like one's upstairs listening to music, the other one's in Minnesota, the other one's in I don't even he's always moving. Um, and, like it's just like sometimes I'm just like, oh, I just suck it up, man, whatever, right? But sometimes I'm like, wow, like I don't see my siblings for like 2 years, and then I see them 2 days. And like sometimes it actually makes me sad. Like, I don't cry or nothing, but like, um, 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 sometimes I just let it out on the game. Sometimes you gotta let it out on the game, and if you're not letting it out on the game, you gotta talk to somebody about it. Um, but sometimes I do that together, and it makes me feel a lot better. Um, or I talk to my mom, but then I don't even. Sometimes I just end up staying in a room the whole time. Um, but those are things that make me feel better about it. But like sometimes, like I'll like actually go to school and like not talk to anybody because I keep thinking about it. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and one piece I wanted to speak to as well is like the One Piece is real. Something that I wanted to add to the conversation, because Chin kind of spoke it out too, because we were, having this piece with Kyle just a second ago. He's like, think about your spiritual health too. And it was interesting because then immediately after that, Kyle spoke to the impact of his siblings. And my sister passed going on like 2 years ago now. And yeah, I know time flies, right? Uh, but that had me really in like a dark place. I mean, as losing any family member would somebody, right? And I will say I'm very grateful for the approach of, the eldership, people who have gone through loss in my community as well, who were able to allow me to maintain my connection, my relationship to her on a spiritual plane as well. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to be um, present in the material. If I had to say something, right, she doesn't have to be present in that way for me to still be able to feel my connection to her. And in that, I feel like it really opened me up to think about the ways that I'm connected to people across space and time, regardless of if they have transitioned or not. And that allowed me to open up myself to relationships in a very, very different way. And I feel like has greatly increased my spiritual health as well. So um, yeah, just the importance of relationships in that uh, that avenue.
It's it's really been impactful, like being friends with you this part of your journey and through your sister's transition, Jeru. So like I think that part of your relationship with us has also like helped us grow too, like as we navigate and try to continue to support you and others who like face things like that or will continue to face things like this or loss in their lives. Um, but yeah, she's definitely not gone. Just on this material plane. This makes me think Miss Pambana has really been in her journey of practicing her spiritual wellness and guiding us here at Kepra as well. She does monthly workshops now and started, I think, last year, where she had her first, I think, manifestation workshop. And I'll also have maybe some folks who've been a part or joined at Kepra share about it. But for me, that's really been a really new and unique way for me to, like, in community, in relationship, to fortify my health and wellness, like, spiritually. And I really had never considered spiritual practices or feeding into them as part of what sustains and like keeps my body and mind going, just like in my wellness. I just hadn't considered until recently. But like I said, my personhood was lost in institutions, and I'm just now figuring myself out again. So having the privilege to take these classes has I think given me not only a space to learn more and inquire about like who I am, what motivates me, my perception, and then even my feelings about spirituality and the practices I hold around it. But to hear from others in community how they go about it, and to me, like practices of spirit include like faith and like resilience, and building trust in oneself and community and others. So I think that's been a really big missing piece for me in my journey and development as a young person, to like build community, to be healthy and build relationships is just the spiritual part of myself and others and being able to see those as like valid and important. So that's really big, like something that I felt has been missing in traditional settings that I'm able to get and now learn about and build for myself. That's been impactful. And then maybe since we're on the topic of spirit and spiritual health, maybe I'll pass it to the folks on the Zoom. I don't know if India or Tara, I think folks I haven't heard from in a minute, want to share their thoughts or feelings. And then maybe we can transition to another topic. And then maybe our lead astrologist, Mimi Zakam, as well to share. She looked back like, are you crazy? Yeah, I guess I'll just pass it to India and then any other folks on the Zoom who want to share out too.
Okay, so the question was like, how do relationships play a role in like your health and well-being, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I really like the check-ins. I feel like holding space for others and then having others hold space for me, like that reciprocity has been really, really beneficial in like my health and well-being, and also kind of like what Chin was saying about like sharing of knowledge and like resources. Because I feel like if I'm like having trouble like looking for something like a remedy or anything like that, I'll just kind of like ask around and then someone will eventually like give me some type of recommendation or somewhere to go or someone to talk to about whatever I need. And that's usually like my found solution. Um, but yeah, I would say also like just like having people to like lean on has been really, really beneficial.
Thank you, India. Maybe Tara, do you want to share? Is Tara still on the Zoom?
I'm
Cannot
still
tell.
here.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Um, I guess, yeah, this is, I was thinking a lot of things. I guess to answer the question as far as relationships and health, um, I think that the beautiful but painful thing about relationships is that it's almost like a mirror to your health, you know? Especially, I feel like it's, I guess you say in my experience, more highlighted in romantic relationships, where it's like when you are that vulnerable with someone or someone's and stuff, whatever your vibe is in romantic relationships. I feel like that it's all like the traumas and the baggage and all that stuff that is like it's shown there and stuff. And I feel um the love comes in place when it's like the bleh, what the parties in the relationship are like able to kind of like figure out a dynamic that like works together and stuff, and like to face those painful things that oftentimes could be like subconscious, and you don't even realize it until like you're in it. Yeah, not to say that it's like only in romantic relationships. I think it's in all relationships and stuff. Just more so, I was just speaking to my experience. That's when it's been like the loudest and stuff. And I mean, I know that like in my past relationships, like, I had been on this journey of like exploring my mental health and my spiritual health and stuff. And I thought that I was like some level of over some things, but then when these things kept getting brought up or uh, like, yeah, it was just like more obvious, I guess. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's something to note and stuff. And not that we're aiming for perfection here, we're all humans and stuff, but just more so like just bringing awareness to these areas that like we don't even realize are like subconscious and stuff, bringing it from the subconscious to the conscious and stuff. And I mean, I feel like in my experience, like that was like one of the strongest pushes for me to like lean into spiritual health, like way back in like, I mean, well, there was a lot going on. It was like 2020. But like just that, and then just the world and stuff like that. And I was like moving, like I was pretty decent with like my physical health. Like I was exercising and all this other stuff. And then I was like in therapy and stuff. And then eventually I was just like I still feel off. Like, what is going on? And then I like reached out to a friend of mine who was like, "Hey, I'm a spiritual healer, I'm a spiritual coach and stuff." And then I met with her and I was just like, and I mean, and I think that spirituality, um, it's beautiful because it's like it's tapping into the unknown and stuff. I mean, I feel like as humans, there's a lot that we don't know. And I feel like spirituality is like leaning into that and like trusting into the process and stuff to kind of like tap into that unknown in a sense, to make it make sense on like a like it's like you can't really verbalize what you're feeling, but you know that you feel something and stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Tara. And Nas, I see you over there. You might as well keep this mic.
Sarah, what you said made me kind of think of this quote. We accept the love that we think we deserve. And not even just from a relationship standpoint, but even from a self-love standpoint and from the love from your community that we find ourselves in. Um, that it's true in a sense that sometimes we don't seek the opportunities that are given to us, or we don't even look around and find them if we don't think we deserve them off rip. And it just made me think of that, the points that you brought up. Thank you.
Thank you, Nas. Maybe I'll just see if Mimi wants to share anything as our local astrologist and now chef on Zoom. And then we can transition.
Well, I'll just say this conversation is so needed. Like, I'm so appreciative to be in a space that spends time sharing about this. As like the mental health of the society around us just seems to continue to crumble. And I do draw a direct line to like just the crumbling of like community fabric. I think people need people, and whenever you see folks like deal with isolation, it's always an obvious example how it just negatively impacts their mental health. Um, I'll also share like a personal experience because I feel like the mind body connection is super slept on. And when I was younger and like into my mid 20s, I would get these horrible migraines. And like the pain was very real and it was debilitating. And it was just rough, but it was stress. I like rarely get migraines anymore. And they started to go away when I started to like get into a community that, you know, just filled me up and like felt like I was able to pursue my purpose on this earth and just like live a life surrounded by people who loved me and poured into me and gave me the opportunity to do the same thing. And it's just crazy because it took some time for me to realize, like, oh, wow, I have not had a migraine in a long time and like realize the direct connection between my stress and my mental health and how my body expressed that. Um, yeah. And yeah, definitely also just having mentors, people who you really appreciate how they move through the world, you know, the vibration that they're on. You want to get on that level. Pambana has also been one of those people for me. I went through a lot of crazy stuff with my family, my parents having health crisis after health crisis this last year, and I would call her and she would give me these like visualizations to do, like you know, imagine yourself like a certain color of light. Like, what do you want it to be? And I would just imagine that while I was like walking through the hospital, which was a really depressing place to be. And I would just be imagining myself at this like glowing ball of sunlight. And I swear it changed everything about the experience, and it like rubbed off on other people. So yeah, definitely big on those like visualization practices and finding mentors and coaches who can pass on hot tips like that and pass it back inside. Also, I just want to say to Khalid, thank you for saying that. I'm also the youngest of four. And I remember when all my siblings slowly trickled out of the household. And I was really sad and lonely a lot of the time when I was in high school. After they had all moved out, and then they'd come home for the holidays, and it was like the best thing ever. And then they would all leave, and I'd be so freaking sad. And so I totally relate, and I didn't really talk about it much when I was your age, and I really like respect that you were able to just lay that out on a whole community conversation. It's so real.
I
So
know,
thanks for being brave.
and like after a while, like I just like became like it just started to feel like a rope that I was just like having to hold on to and like care for them. Cause after they were gone so long, I'm just like, oh man, I got my online friends, just leave me alone. Um, yeah. But like I feel like I'm like holding on. You know how Spider-Man has to like hold one side of the building and hold the other. I feel like I have to do
Mm,
that just
mm.
to like just to like I don't even know the word for it. Like just to um like it's not keep it together because I feel like we're already together, but it's like I feel like the rope is gonna snap, you know? And every time they come back, it's like they always say like, "Oh, you've gone so much." It's like it's just the same thing over and over and over. And it's like I'm just
Yeah,
like there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not sick of it or anything, but it's like I like
it's real.
if they were to come back permanently, it's like I don't know how I'd feel because I've already attached to these other things. And it's like
Mhm.
I'm not saying I don't need them, but it's like it like just I just feel like it wouldn't be a difference. But it would though. That's the thing because I don't actually know that. Um what else? There's something else I was gonna tell you, but I forgot. Um okay.
Can I also ask you, you said like a way that you deal with it is get it out in the game.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
can
yeah.
you say more about like how that works for you?
Oh, yeah, like me and my friends, like we like play scary games or like um what else? Like I said, like I'll play like there's like online chat, so like I'll use that and I'll call my friends in real life and like talk to them at the same time. Um, what'd you say? Oh, okay. Um,
So
like I like
do you like directly talk about the stuff that's going on in your life that's making you sad, like in those chats or on those things? Or are you saying more you direct that energy and like you in that space and you like come together with people?
I kind of just convert the energy, like I just talk to them and I
Okay.
play the games with them and I convert it into positive energy.
Mhm.
Um, not saying, well, it is negative, but um, yeah, I just turn it into positive energy, I feel like. It works every time for me. I usually don't have to ever tell them, like, I'm going through this. Like, can you guys cheer me up? Like, they just always cheer me up. Like, it's just, I just really appreciate them. Any more questions?
Yeah, okay, no, it just makes you feel better to just like do that with your friends. It's
Mhm.
interesting because a lot of people talk about how like young people playing games as like an unhealthy thing, and especially like young men.
Mm.
Um and it's really interesting to hear it like from your perspective to be like, nah, I think it like it helps me. Um And it's interesting, like you're not directly talking about what's going on, but you're being together with people, and every time you feel better.
No, I feel like it's definitely helped me a lot. Like video games in general have like really helped me. Like I'm not even being funny, like just like the online friends for 5 years now. And then like on top of that, like um when I was younger, I used to go to this one school. It's close to here. It's the school over there. What's it called? We Grow, something like that. That school is really bad. Do not send your kids there. What's it
For the
called?
record, this is Khalid's personal opinion.
Um,
The views expressed by Khalid do not represent Kemper Institute. Thank you.
oh wait, I can't say that, right? I can't
No,
say.
you can. You
Hey,
can
wait,
speak freely.
legally, I have to say that into the microphone.
Okay.
You can.
Um. Oh, dang! Now I forgot because that was really funny.
Sorry.
So the school
No.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was about to say it again. Um. Oh, like, every morning I used to live really close to that school, so I could wake up at like what 8:25 and still get there on time. Um. Every morning we would play Monopoly. I think it was with Keenan, me, and my mom. I can't remember if it was my
Oh,
sister and Kyla. I can't really remember.
so cute.
But like I thought that was really fun how my mom put that in structure and like, we just all bonded. It was a great time. I'd usually get whooped because, it's a money game. I was what, 8? Um, but I really enjoyed that. I wish I could go back to that, but things have changed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
no problem. Don't go to that school.
Zoom room 2. Identify yourself and state your business. The school is listening. Through Zoom room 2, we've been hacked. Okay, if not Zoom room 2, then we'll pass it to Tara. I do.
Hello. Hi. That piece that Khalid had shared about like converting the energy into something positive. I think that that's such an underrated facet of health as well. That I think that would be, I mean, one, I think just a way to like step into agency, but then also like I don't know, like some sort of, well, actually, Mimi had sent out, like, at least for like Kepra and stuff, this like spreadsheet of just like a bunch of health, spiritual health practices and stuff to lean on and stuff when you're like feeling like low and stuff like that. But I think that that's important, especially for people like me who can be like when I get into certain points and stuff, like it gets to a certain point that it's like hard for me to really verbalize what I'm feeling. Um, but like and especially like when you get into that mind body connection, and you can like feel like where in your body are you feeling tense or like hot or like cold or tingly and stuff, and then like find some ways to kind of like move that energy around and stuff. So for example, like if I'm feeling like kind of like stiff and like numb or whatever, like dancing usually helps just to kind of like move around and like get it out of my body and stuff like that and to like loosen up, or like yoga or like going on a walk, for example. So yeah, just that practice of redistributing the energy as a health tool.
All right. I had a question that I wanted to ask, but I did want to leave some space, if anybody else had any thoughts on those previous pieces, because I feel like I'm about to kind of take the conversation in a little bit of a tangent. Okay, perfect. So Z, as our resident public health administrator at the Kepler Institute, you've gotten the degree. This is the field that, interests you the most. You're willing to look at all of those numbers and all those spreadsheets that relate to social and public health. So I guess I have two questions. One, what brought you into that world or like inspired you to want to pursue that? And then from there, I'm curious, like, what have been some of the biggest takeaways or things that's impacted you, um, personally as you've kind of gone through that particular journey? And please be sure to look into the camera and smile because I'm going to get this on film. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayru, for turning this into your podcast and me the guest today. So, what brought me into the public health world? So I guess I'll share a little bit about like I guess I did, right? So I'm Ethiopian American. I'm a firstborn daughter to my two parents. Um, what else is pivotal about me? Yeah, and I'm an only child. So I think those are some of the contexts I'll start with. So when I was going to college, my parents were dead set on me being a doctor and studying biology, which, I can listen for a while, but I'm also stubborn, and know when I don't like something. So I thought I would study biology, and I tried, and I didn't like it. But I knew I had an inclination or inkling towards like people, how they felt, and just like how the human body and systems like are impacted. So that led me to like psychology, as a field of study and understanding the mind and its relationship to the body. And then I took an elective class called Zombie Apocalypse and Doomsday Infections. And I realized I can listen to a lot of crazy stuff. I can learn about some horrific things and still be interested to learn more. So the sci-fi and fantastical idea of zombies, um, as a vehicle to talk about, diseases, infections, and the baseline of public health was one of the intro classes that kind of showed me, oh, this idea of care and learning about others and like diseases might be something that I'm interested in. And I decided I would take that on as my second degree. And that's how the public health and epidemiology department snatched me up in my second year of college. But for me, I think it's mostly I like really want to learn the things that impact people that people just don't talk about or know that impact them. And for me, this just comes from the experience, like I said, of like I had to translate and navigate like the public health system for my parents, my peers, and my cousins, folks who like were not good at speaking English. So like I like would encounter a lot of things I didn't understand or know, and that would not necessarily just be used against me, but be used to my disservice or benefit, and that would directly impact others negatively. So I took it personally, personal as fuck, when I didn't understand, like what doctors were asking my mom, or if I didn't really understand what I needed to communicate to them on my parents' or family's behalf. So for me, it was really about what am I missing, and then what are the things I can learn about through this degree. If I have to spend 4 years in college, like, let me get the insider information. What are these scientists actually freaking talking about? And for those who don't know, epidemiology is a study of population level health, disease occurrence, and they use terms like incidence and mortality, which mean the amount of times people are sick. And that will be morbidity, how sick you are. Mortality is death, and the people who die from these things as a relationship. So we would measure incidence rate. We'd measure percentages of people who are getting sick and why. And that really showed me clearly that there is a disbalance. It's mostly people of color, and women and minority groups who are dying or critically ill or disabled from a lot of the things that people are able to go get treatment from or experience, or like recover from, quote unquote, peacefully in this country. So that, and then my background in being an immigrant, most people don't have a TB vaccination in this country since it's been eradicated. I went and visited Ethiopia within the first year of my life. Agila's cheering in the back. We have the vaccine mark on our arms to prove it. But I went and visited Ethiopia in my first year of life. My mom took me back to her home country to show her family and parents the beautiful daughter that she gave birth to. And because it is endemic in Africa, I was vaccinated so that I wouldn't catch or possibly die as a young child from that illness. So the experience of like health equity and the continuum of care being warped, I think, from a quote unquote first world or third world perspective, and the inequity of being able to make research and share vaccinations, medicines, and preventative care, and how it's all centered in the West is something that like has really been just eating away at me and like something I've been trying to wrap my head around. Like, how do I engage or approach a problem that is rooted in white supremacy, capitalism, and the extraction of people's wellness and life for profit, and how do I take or break down those approaches to engaging with myself, my community, and then passing that across the water to the people who I'm genetically and ethnically related to, but have been raised in community in this city and in this world or country. So the global, international, and then now local aspect of my health and wellness, and the nerdy part of thinking about the environment and climate change, and how Indiana might become similar to Ethiopia and we might have more vector-borne illnesses and diseases now, and the change in like the world that is coming. So Indiana, the new Ethiopia, the new changed our city's name to New Ethiopia. Yes. But yeah, those are just some of the things that I think about and that kind of brought me into this, and what keep me here is just continuing to think about what is my role in learning, what are others roles, and how can I influence knowledge, transference of knowledge, education, and other things. So that's that question. Thank you so much for asking for my deep lore. And then
I was just gonna say like knew you came from that background. And at Kepra, this is our grants manager right here, making sure we can keep the lights on every day. Um, and I was like, well, is grants really tied to public health? So, how do we come back around to having that be your topic for first ever mumbo jumbo? Can I just like, get some round of applause for Z? This isn't your first one?
well, I've facilitated two other conversations, also by choice, but this is my first one that I've put all the content together in questions.
Okay, well, that's close enough for me. So I still think we should
Applause
get a round of
anyway.
applause. So yes,
Woo.
thank you.
Thank you for the love. Yeah, no, before I answer your last question on like my biggest takeaways, I just want to say thank you to like the people who shared and supported, but also like having the space to talk about, like, I'm a co-manager in grants and somehow I'm talking about public health. So if that doesn't talk about, like, if this doesn't emphasize that relationships and community can be a platform, not just for influence in like my development, but my communities, I'm not going to get emotional and talk about it, but I'm so grateful. Jerry was asking me to cry, and I'll wait till the end to shed tears. No, no close up. But and then biggest takeaways. What around what?
Like, what are like some of the just like what are some of the biggest ideas that have informed how you move through the world now, having gone through this journey so far?
Yeah, thanks. A lot have already been stated, I think, from the people who spoke here today. So I'm honestly gonna mostly read off of the notes I took that y'all shared, but maybe I'll just start with a few that come to mind for me directly. Well, no, actually, I'm gonna start with the list y'all shared. Definitely for one, relationship to the environment, in that being reciprocal. So a good relationship to the earth is a good relationship for all people. And making sure that the wellness of ourselves extends to the natural environment as well. I think innovation and creativity are like a really big reason or like a thing I take away and want to continue to like uplift as one of my biggest takeaways is we are so used to doing things in the way that we have, used to institutions looking and treating us the ways that they have, to a point where we assume that how we've been raised or what we perceive as normal or will continue forever in this way. And now, not only being a part of this community, but just what I've seen is that there's a need for change. And the people who are going to do it are the ones who are directly experiencing these problems, who know in and out what ails them and better ways to approach the challenges, and use and maximize them as opportunities. So for those who are out building relationships and networks and coalitions and partnerships, I think really making sure that you have connections and that you care for yourself and others in ways that will continue to build not only your development but social capital. Um, and that public health prevention isn't just getting vaccinated. I think it's the gift and care packages that we get for people when they're sick. I think it's also making sure that we do things in our community to prevent people from getting sick. So if you want to have a cleaning party, if you feel like you're not able to take care of your physical upkeep in your home, shout some people out in a group chat, say you'll make some food, have your friends try and clean your house. That's public health prevention. Making sure you have somewhere safe to stay, having a home and stable housing is public health prevention. Making sure you can eat and that you are not stressed out to a place where you're ill is public health prevention. So people are doing a lot of things to take care of themselves and others. I just don't think the continuum of care only really highlights what happens after you get sick, but not the things that we do day in and out that like make sure that we're all well. So those are all the main things I'll emphasize. And I'm gonna pass it to Chin, whose hand is cutely raised.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you another question.
It is 7:53. Is it okay if Chanilu asks one more question and we wrap it up? Because I didn't realize what time it is. So Mimi's got a thumbs up. If I don't hear any hoopla in the group or the chat, we'll let you finish us off.
Well, I guess if this is going to be like the last question of the discussion, I was just going to ask this to you, but I'll open it up to the room as well. But I would like to hear you answer first, Z. But I was just wondering if you could speak to like the importance of community agency and community taking responsibility for like public health or community health or just like each other's health in the context of like our current political environment.
You want to get me canceled. I'm kidding. I won't say anything too crazy. But yeah, okay. Let me get myself canceled so I don't have to come back. That's the plot. I think in this current economic, political environment, the role or responsibility community has to public health is really critical. And I think I'll talk about it in the lens of prevention because that's really where I'm leaning or trying to build out more formally, at least in my own practice, and then to share with others. But community care isn't just like something we say, it's like a culture that you build. So being able to build cultures that sustain you and your community is like what's going to get us to the next place. And I really think in this moment, it's just surviving to the next place is enough. I can't speak to like what medical institutions or the modern world is going to look like in the next 4 years, let alone 6 months. Like, I don't know if there will be more COVID boosters being produced. I don't know if there will be the same type of institutions providing us help like there used to be. So like we really have to take a critical approach to they call them in public health assessments, or inventories where you go and talk to community and understand their problems. But like you actually live in community and have friends and like family. So like you could honestly just have a conversation with them to understand what is going on in their lives. And how or if you have something you can do to support them in making that right or finding people who can help them. So really doing the inquiry and doing the hard listening to really understand what is troubling people or what's going well in their lives, and then the responsibility of continuing to be a change agent and build relationships so that you can find, be in community with, and build, continue to build, I think, spaces and places where people can be seen and heard for their truth and what they're living. Because I think a lot of what we'll be experiencing will be censored. And I think distorted so that people aren't sure about what is actually happening. So making sure we're telling our stories and that people can hear us and that we are taking an active role in finding the people who we feel are can have solutions or help us build the solutions we're looking for at a local level. So that will be me being concise so I don't get canceled. Uh, Agila wants to add something, so we'll start in here and then work our way to the Zoom for folks to add on.
Yeah, I want to also add tied to like our experience with COVID as a real like tangible example of like what it means to control your own institutions and creating your own systems and cultures of care, right? So throughout that process, God, Mimi, what I'm having like trauma flashbacks. Um, but you know, we really dug in deep and we had weekly COVID meetings and looking at policies, reviewing the articles, having some really deep and challenging conversations about like as we are a community organization, what is our role and responsibility to model in this pandemic where our people were the ones who were the most impacted, right? It was people of color, people living in frontline communities who already had like health impacts and conditions that were literally left behind, right? By systems. And, the CDC and people were like live trying to figure out what was happening. And that really one like displayed how critical those pieces that you were talking about, relationships, agency, is important because we leaned on our community to be able to do that. So like Charles, who's one of our community members, like helped compile resources and put that out, and we modeled through our behavior. There was also a lot of conflict transformations throughout that as well and open conversations. um but I really think about that, and now we're still continuing to mask. We input IOA filters to as we're engaging and working with community, yeah, keep the air clean and like make sure we're not continuing to pass sicknesses that our people die more from.
I I think what you guys spoke to reminds me of that saying, like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think especially right now, everybody knows how unaffordable and unaccessible and just bad healthcare is right now. Like if you get sick, it is so hard to get better in this society. And especially like some of the stuff they got going around, they're just COVID being one of those things, depending on how bad you get it, there just really aren't a lot of options for getting better. So I definitely think it's like that makes it all the more crucial to like do what we can to stay healthy, to keep each other healthy, to be proactive about that. And you can't avoid it forever. You're gonna get sick at some point. And so I think at that point it's important to have a system and to have systems of care in place, and if the broader, like mainstream society isn't going to provide that for your neighbor or for your family or for your friends, then it's on you. So yeah.
That piece that Chen just shared reminded me of a regular quote from Mrs. Fair. If it is to be, then it is up to me. She got bars, man, for days. Another great one that I just remembered from my previous comment about my sister. People are gonna leave you, either walking out the door or laying down. But either way, they're gonna leave you. And I'm gonna leave us off on that uplifting note.
No, he's not. I'm not done. I just want to make space for folks on the Zoom. If anyone wants to share on that, I will definitely wait a beat before we close out since it is 8 o'clock. But please, to anyone on the Zoom who wants to share, add on.
Um, Not much to add on. I just would request a part two of this conversation.
Uh, I swore I was canceled. What do you mean part two?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Relax. Heard Tara. I'm gonna make note, and to all the people who did register, just to please, like, I want to hear more from y'all. We'll follow up what y'all want to hear about, what more topics you'd like to discuss, and I'll think about making it monthly. Um, but for us closing out tonight, I just want to again say thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who came, who shared their experiences, who just opened their ears and listened and shared space. This was a transformational experience for me, and I hope it was for you. So lots of love and gratitude. And thank you to all my old friends and new friends and everyone who was able to come. Like, oh my goodness, so much love. So I will give our last shout outs. Thank you to the Indianapolis Recorder, a premier and historic institution in news and media in Indianapolis. And once again, if you like the work we do here, and if you like the fact that Kepra can uplift youth voices like mine to host conversations like this, donate.kepra.org if you want to see us continue to do these things in community. And also, if you want to learn more, Alchemy Plus, our premier community learning source, where we put most of our workshops and things you can learn more. And hopefully, we'll get started with a public health one there soon. So please, we'll keep it up. But thank you guys.
Yeah, to get on to Alchemy Plus as well, you can go to alchemy.kepra.org. We're gonna have Nas drop the link. And hey, if you want to create your first post on there, maybe a reflection from today's conversation. There were a lot of great tidbits in there. I'll be on there sharing my thoughts, so I hope y'all join me in doing so as well.
I will too. But thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night, and I hope to follow up with more.
Thanks,
Ta-ta!
guys.